Hi there, everyone. I'm a no-name YouTuber here to talk to you today about Christmas. You know, I just love Christmas. I love the presents, I love the music, like even the little things. I also love the sight of little children getting trampled in shopping centers whenever they're trying to get their hands on that special toy. I love it all. It just makes me feel all warm inside. You know, Christmas is just such a special time of year. It's a time of year where we celebrate all that is good about humanity. You know, the things that just give us hope in humanity. And I love hot chocolate. Oh, God, that's the good stuff. But what I especially love are the movies. Now, I'm not talking about those piece of shit fluffy movies that don't really represent what Christmas is all about. No shit like It's a Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th Street, Home Alone. That is all fucking garbage. I'm talking about the real Christmas movies, like the 2015 film Krampus. And I love Krampus! Merry Christmas, boils and ghouls, and welcome back to another fright-filled episode of Around the Clock Frights. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely in the holiday spirit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah. And for those who don't know what I was making fun of in the opening skit, it was a parody of Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas, a really terrifying Christmas film where Kirk Cameron tries to legitimize the more commercial side of Christmas, and it's one of the most god-awful things that I've ever seen. But anyway,
definitely going to get a visit from Krampus.
I think so. I think Kirk Cameron is going to get a visit from Krampus, and hopefully Krampus will trap him in a snow globe for all eternity, because that's where Kirk Cameron belongs.
But then that would turn Krampus into a good guy.
That's true. So today, we're going to be talking about the 2015 Krampus, directed by Michael Dougherty, and the reaction to this movie was initially pretty positive. People were comparing it to Christmas horror films like Gremlins, you know, some of the other creature features of the 80s, like Ghoulies, or like, you know, some of the Jim Henson titles like The Dark Crystal,
Labyrinth,
like mostly for the practical effects. And personally, this is not only one of my favorite Christmas movies to be released in the past 10 years. Honestly, this is one of my favorite movies to be released, period, because I just love movies like this where you have this, you know, otherworldly practical monster who just has this really incredible look to him. And I just love the design of Krampus in this movie. He looks like a Jim Henson character.
He really
does. He does, yeah.
I think it's because, you know, they really got into the lore behind Krampus and all that kind of stuff in the mythology. Because if you know a little bit more about the legends and the myths and stuff like that, it makes the movie like be so much more interesting. Like there's another level to it.
It really does. It's very respectful of the legend of Krampus. The legend is brought to life in an incredible animated segment, which reminded me of some of those old Rankin Bass Christmas shorts.
Yes.
You know, almost stop motion. You have these animated characters set against the backdrop of this holiday setting, and we see this little girl who wishes for her family to basically go away, and of course she gets a visit by Krampus, and just like the visual look of this animated sequence alone is worth the price of admission.
Is it me, or did it kind of remind you of like Coraline a little bit?
It really did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It had the same feel of Coraline, especially in like the design of the characters, like the frightful girl who has like these big soulful eyes, and I just love how you actually never see Krampus in this animated segment. You just see his shadow. It makes it much more mythical and mysterious.
Oh yeah.
Like he's the really Santa Claus you don't see, but much eviler.
He's the Santa Claus you don't want to get a visit
Exactly.
This movie is filled with surprises. That animated scene is one of them. But this was a movie that we saw together in theaters, right, Thor?
Oh yeah, I was definitely looking forward to it when it first came out. We went and we watched it at one of those cool theaters that like served you alcohol and food and stuff.
We thought we would need it during this movie because we were fearful that this would be very schlocky, over the top. You know, it wasn't very respectful of the legend. Didn't take itself like very seriously.
Yeah, but It really did. It surprised me.
There are some legitimately unnerving sequences in this movie.
Well, when you think about it, isn't Michael Dougherty the same person that does Trick or Treat?
Yes.
So
he has a clear love of the holidays, and like Trick or Treat, this production design in Krampus is just so colorful and so eye popping. Just the colors of Christmas just pop out and make you feel all warm inside.
But at the same time, you can tell that there's a lot of thought behind with Trick or Treat, there was a lot of thought behind what makes Halloween Halloween, what makes the legends and the tales and everything else like that, like not blowing out your jack-o'-lantern before dawn the next morning, those kinds of things. And then he gave us Sam, who kind of was an embodiment of all those different things that you're taught about with Halloween. He does the same thing here with Krampus and totally gets behind what Christmas was when we were talking about a pre-Christian, more pagan kind of world, which is where Krampus comes from.
Right. Michael Dougherty is incredibly skilled at taking some of those old fables and inserting them in modern day settings. He did the same thing with Halloween, and he did the same thing again with Krampus. Now, Kim, I have a question specifically for you. Okay, so you are a mother of 2 kids. This movie has a couple of scenes where kids are either devoured completely or they're harmed in some horrific way. How did that make you feel? Like, specifically the scene where all the demonic toys are just attacking these poor children in the attic.
Well, I mean, to be honest, some of those kids deserve. No.
Oh yeah.
But no, they were yeah.
Like the 2 siblings. Yeah.
Yeah. You were kind of like cheering for the.
Yeah. But no, honestly, it was a little because it did make you sit there and think oh no, I don't know, being a mother, you're sitting there thinking, oh no, what if this was my kids? It's terrifying.
Like that bit where the one cousin gets swallowed whole.
Oh yeah.
By the Jack-in-the-Box.
And then he goes and what's his I was
that was funny. I'm sorry. When I look at that and I see those kids getting eaten, I don't feel the same way, even though I'm a mom too, because I look at it and go, my kids will never act like that.
That's kind of where I was leaning more towards, because a couple of those kids were really awful. Yeah, it was I don't know, honestly.
It was like some of the best horror movies out there where you don't know who to cheer for. And I like that dichotomy, because if you're only cheering for the good guys, then there's no real tension. You know the good guys are going to win, whatever. There's no real tension to it. The fact that you had all of these really, really flawed people, from the gun-loving, ultra-right-wing uncle to the mom who was so passive-aggressive it made my teeth hurt.
Then you had the aunts.
And then you had the cousins who all he did was make a nice Christmas wish for them, and they tortured him, and none of the adults did really anything about it.
They were just sitting at the table
stop it. No, don't do that. It's okay, you go after my kid like that, I'm going to pick you up, I'm going to kick you in the head, and I don't care if you're my niece, my nephew, I will bounce your head off of the carpet a couple of times you come after my kid like that, especially when all he did was something nice, and you shouldn't have been having his letter to begin with, so you need to sit down.
It is surprisingly relatable, because some of the characters in this movie I've seen in real life. We all have that obnoxious relative, David Koechner in this movie, who is a gun nut, who is just very loudmouthed and opinionated, and he is just rude to everyone.
And he had the vehicle that he was so proud of. The Hummer.
And the host family's this ultra-liberal, we drive a Prius, it's like that it's like those families that that you're a part of. It may not be the extreme sides of the spectrum, but you have everybody in there, and you're just those are the reasons why you dread the holidays, because you're oh God.
The plot of this movie is like a fairy tale in and of itself, because first of all, it opens with one of my favorite
oh my God, yes.
One of my favorite opening sequences in recent years, where you basically have this representation of shopping during Christmas Eve.
I thought it was Black Friday for a second.
In the opening sequence, you see these crazy shoppers just running each other over, causing complete chaos inside the shopping center. Most of it is played out in slow motion, set to it's beginning to look a lot like.
Oh yeah, no, that was just that was.
Security guards are using stun guns on certain individuals. Parents are getting into fights. Employees are falling off of ladders.
They're falling on the floor, grabbing things. Oh.
It is the perfect way to set up the tone of this movie because this movie doesn't hit on Christmas, but let's be honest. Let's be honest. We have been in the situations where we've seen the more commercial side of Christmas, especially when you go out and you attempt to shop for your loved ones. Like, people get insane, and this opening sequence captures that very well, but it also balances it with some surprisingly sweet moments.
Yeah.
It kind of sets you up for the storyline, too, a little bit, because you have these ungrateful people in the shopping, and then it comes to the family, where it's like where he's pretty much taking advantage, or not taking advantage, but, well, yeah, kind of, I guess, taking advantage of the fact that his family is always going to be around.
Yeah.
And then, then he says, I hate my family and all that. So it's like...
It's also, they have all of the, and this is something that the grandmother brought out and kind of hinted at the very beginning. They have all the accoutrement. Their house looks like something out of a magazine. They have all this food. They have all the lights and the flowers and the centerpieces, and everything looks like...
Toni Collette has a Martha Stewart vibe to her.
Oh, God, yes.
Everything has to be perfect for the holidays. Not one thing can be out of place.
But even though they have everything that looks like Christmas, the most important thing, the heart, the family, that inner warmth, that's not there. The preparation for it, the reason why she's getting everything has to be perfect is not because of her love for family. It's because of wanting to make sure that she has status at her deep down. She says it's because, this sister's going to complain, this is going to happen, but it's her status that she's worried about. It's not about, I want to make this amazing meal for my family.
But then you find out later on through bits and pieces where the part of their love for each other does come out.
Oh, yeah.
If I can talk briefly about the main character's arc. So, like Home Alone, you have a little boy who is pretty much fed up with his family. He makes this wish that, his family would disappear or something awful would happen to them. And he hates
Christmas.
He gets his wish granted. Krampus comes and basically wreaks havoc on this little boy's entire neighborhood. Like, it's not just his family. And I mentioned earlier that Michael Dougherty has an incredible eye for detail, and just the way that he captures the holiday spirit is amazing. And just like the atmosphere in his movies, like the scene where the daughter is walking down an empty street covered in snow, you hear this slight howling noise, like out of the corner of the frame. The camera turns and you see the silhouette of Krampus up on this roof. And it is an amazing way to introduce this character because you don't get a clear vision of him, but you can kind of make out like what he is, and he's terrifying looking.
He is.
And I love that scene where she's trying to run away from Krampus, but he is just jumping from rooftop to rooftop. The sound design in this scene with Krampus's howls, it's unsettling.
Wasn't it the same for Trick or Treat though? Because they had like you said, the same director, he did an amazing job capturing those sounds that kind of brings you into the film.
The thing that I liked about the sound design is that there were these moments. A lot of times with horror films, people don't know how to play silence, and they don't understand how terrifying silence can be.
Yeah.
And when she first starts walking down the street, there's this uneasy silence, and you can literally, if you watch the Blu-ray, you can literally hear the snow hitting the ground. And that is a creepy sound. People don't realize how creepy that sound is. It's just the stillness.
Also, the sound of people walking through the snow, like
the crunching,
the crunching of the snow. As it makes contact with people's boots, it can be a little unsettling. And, this little boy does get his wish at the end of the movie, which we're going to talk about because it's been 4 years, so we can talk about the ending of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially what happens is that they are picked off one by one by Krampus and his followers. And at the end, the little boy is dropped into this fiery hellhole. literally, he wakes up the next morning. He's back with his family in this calm, peaceful setting. They're all together for the holidays. They're opening up presents. Everything seems to be going really well, but it turns out...
It was all a dream.
It wasn't all a dream.
Well, no. That's what they make you think, that it was all a dream.
But they go above and beyond, because what actually happens is that Krampus has trapped them inside the snow globe for all eternity. So the ultimate punishment is being stuck with each other.
Forever.
That is just sticking the landing. I love how it comes full circle like that.
And then you hear you see them sitting there with their voices from the whole movie. Mm-hmm. They were playing it, and you can tell that they know. Yeah, they remembered what happened, because you just see their faces, and it's like, now they have to live with this forever.
And the way that they kicked off that memory is he's opening up this gift that his grandmother gives him, and she's looking at him because she remembers, she knew. She doesn't have this haze over her like everybody else. And she gives him this gift, and she's just sad. Mm-hmm. And he opens the gift, and it's the same rusted bell with the Krampus on it that she got when she wished her village or her family away. Mm-hmm. And that's when everybody starts remembering, and that playing of the sounds and their screams, and you know, that was intense. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. This movie does have a very good way of balancing both the lighter moments and the more horrific moments. And at the end, I just feel like these two come together so perfectly. And it's just a great way to end a story like this. So,
can we just real quick give a great shout out to Toni Collette? You know, a lot of people would think, oh, Toni Collette, she's in a Christmas horror movie. Mm-hmm. Oh, she's just phoning it in. She's just looking for a paycheck. She's, because she's this amazing, amazing actress. I mean, she's take a look at her in...
Hereditary.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Don't you swear at me, you little shit. Don't you ever raise your voice at me. I am your mother. Do you understand?
So, yeah, Toni Collette was my favorite actress in this. I think she did just a great job.
I would also like to give a shout out to Allison Tolman, who... Every time I see her, I keep thinking of her playing Bertha in 2.5 Men. So seeing her take on this role in Krampus in a horror movie, coming from comedy to horror, she did such an amazing job.
So you guys, what is your favorite scene in this movie?
My favorite scene, to be honest, is the first time that you realize that there is something incredibly wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of two scenes for me. One is the girl walking down the street with the snow falling, and it's still and it's silent. And the way he lets that silence linger instead of immediately chopping to action or something like that. And then there's the faint howl, and he builds that tension really, really well in that scene. My other favorite scene is the one with the kid who has he's rather large, rather robust. And there's this gigantic hook hanging in the fireplace, and it's got like some gingerbread or something on it, and you're just looking at it and you're like, don't do it, because duh.
But of course he does it, because he really wants that gingerbread cookie.
And he gets swooped up, and then all of a sudden his shoe comes falling down. Everybody panics and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, it's just that it really solidified the fact that these people had no survival instinct whatsoever. And that part of the family, honestly, it was like as soon as Krampus showed up, you're like, well, yeah, they're dead.
Mm-hmm. Kim, what is your favorite scene in this movie?
Mine's close to her second one. I like the scene with the uncle in the kitchen. And this is the first time, and I'm telling you, when I first watched this, those gingerbread men.
Oh, yeah.
They creeped me the heck out. But you got the scene with the uncle who's, sitting on the floor. He's trying to be badass. And then you got the gingerbread cookie that's flying through the air. He gets scared. And then all of a sudden he looks back, and the dog ate the cookie.
It felt like an homage to that scene in Gremlins where the mother discovers the gremlins in the kitchen for the first time. And she just mutilates them in the most violent ways. Like she
shoves it into the blender.
She shoves one into a blender. She shoves one into a microwave, which makes it explode.
I was not cleaning that up.
Yeah.
Bye, microwave.
Yeah, get a new one.
For me, apart from the opening sequence, which you just can't beat, it makes me laugh every single time. I would honestly have to say the animated sequence, which completely caught me off guard. It is just so gorgeous, and it's a true feast for the eyes, and I just love the visual look of it. If Michael Dougherty wanted to direct a full-length animated feature, I'd be very curious to see how it turns out, because he just has this artistic eye for detail, and he knows what looks good on camera. He knows exactly what to shoot. He knows how to shoot it. He knows how to make the most of his sets.
Yeah.
He is brilliant with atmosphere. And
yes.
Not gonna lie, if he did something with Easter, I'd probably watch it.
Please.
For Easter.
Ooh.
That would be interesting.
Easter, Thanksgiving, we've got a lot of holidays for you.
You need to cover these.
Just go through the calendar.
And then
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Just don't do the leprechaun.
Well, and then we could have a holiday horror cinematic universe, which would feature characters like Krampus and Evil Easter Bunny, Warwick Davis's Leprechaun.
No, not. I love that movie for its cheesiness, but no.
What was the movie with that wrestler, Santa's Sleigh?
Oh God! Although
we need to put an evil Santa in there, besides Krampus
and besides Eyebrow Man.
Mm-hmm. So overall, Krampus is a real treat. Is one of our favorite Christmas movies to be released in the past 10 years.
And it is appropriate for certain age children
that
get into this. If your kids are okay with Gremlins, then this is okay for your kids about the same age. My daughter, who is 11 going on 12, loves Gremlins. This was like the first horror movie that she watched. This is her favorite. She loves to watch this movie.
It's not too gory. It's not too over the top. You could probably watch it with younger viewers. But like I was saying in the opening of this video, Christmas is just a time to celebrate everything that is good about humanity. But we decided to talk about a movie that celebrates, shall we say, a darker side of humanity. So we're going against the norm here, and next week we are going to be reviewing...
Even darker?
Yeah, we're going to be going even darker. We're going to be talking about the upcoming remake of Black Christmas, the new Blumhouse release. I'm very excited to talk about that.
I'm a little nervous.
I'm a little bit nervous, but I think it'll have kind of a Happy Death Day vibe where it has a good amount of comedic elements to it.
Yeah, I'm just worried that it's going to turn into sorority versus fraternity, and we all know who will win then. It's just not even a contest.
Well, college is hell altogether. We know that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us in our discussion of Krampus. Eat lots of gingerbread cookies. Just make sure they're not alive first. Drink lots of eggnogs. We will see you next week. If you like this, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, Round the Clock Frights. And it's December, so that means it's time to celebrate Christmas for the next however many weeks is left this month. Have a great night. And
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.